Hello everybody, this is Adam from Wax Pack Gods. I hope you're doing well. One of the big questions that everybody seems to have about baseball cards, and their baseball cards in particular, is how much are they worth? And that's especially true for guys like me who grew up in the 80s and early 90s with the boom era of baseball cards. And while the cards aren't worth as much in general as we thought they might have been, some of them still carry a decent amount of value depending on condition and scarcity and so forth. But a related question is, how do you go about figuring out how much your cards are worth? So there are price guides, and you can go to shows and things, and there are various methods to figure out what a particular card might be worth. But I thought it might be interesting and instructive to run through one of my favorite methods for figuring out a basic value guide for any particular card, and that's to use eBay. So let's suppose that we're at a post about a particular card. Oh, I don't know, let's say there's 1972 Topps Bob Gibson on Wax Pack Gods. Imagine that. And we want to know, well, what does this card bring on the market? What we can do is hop over to eBay and just see what's out there. So simple search would be to search for the card 1972 Topps Bob Gibson. This will bring back a list of the cards currently available for sale. And this is somewhat useful. However, these are asking prices or in progress auctions, so they don't really tell you what cards have sold for. And as my daddy always told me, anything is only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. So let's figure out what folks have been willing to pay for this 1972 Topps Bob Gibson card. Fortunately, eBay gives us that opportunity. We can look for the sold items checkbox, click on that, and it will limit us to just items that have sold. You can see the sold listing filter there. And so we start to get a better idea of what this baseball card brings on the market now. So we see about $5 for a VG to excellent card. Here's one that was about 19. These are sponsored, so they don't really show us the dates that they were sold. But here we get into the meat of it a little bit more. So on June 7th of 2019, this excellent to mint card sold for $3. I'm recording this on June 8th, so this is pretty current. 301. They don't really say much about it there. And you can dig into the listings, of course, to see more about the specific conditions. $3, $1, $8 for near mint. Now here's one that's $72. It's a PSA 8, and that brings into view another method, another filter that I like to use. Since these raw cards, if you will, are kind of subjectively graded by the seller, I like to put a PSA qualifier on my search so that I only get cards graded by PSA. You could use BGS for Beckett Grading Services or any other service that you want, but you're probably going to find more cards graded by PSA than any of the other services here. So we can start to get a more accurate view of what this Bob Gibson card might be worth. So we see here a couple of PSA 8s, so there's a wide range there. So $72 for one of them, $34 for the other. There may be some extenuating circumstances. I don't particularly see anything, no off-center qualifiers or anything on the $34 one. But maybe the picture is not as clear. It's kind of hard to tell from that. Here's a PSA 4 that's $1.25. A PSA 8 here that's $42.05. And another one that's $72. And that's from the same seller, PWCC, as the one that had the $34. So you can dig through and see why maybe the 8s have a wide range. Here's a $30 PSA 8. Could just be the time that they're sold or whatever, but you get a better idea. And one thing we can see here is that 8s don't seem to be particularly scarce for Bob Gibson in this 72 set. And so here is a PSA 6. I went for 23, 22, an 8 for 35, a 9 for 30. So that one, I don't know. Let's look at that one. That's an interesting price, and maybe it's just the difference in our time frame here. So you can kind of drill down. You can see the original listing if you want to get more details. Here it is. Okay, so this one is definitely off-centered, it says, and you can see that it is. So that's going to be, again, an extenuating circumstance. So we go back. So anyway, you kind of get an idea of how to do this. You can do this for any card that you want. Now, one caveat is some of the more rare cards and some of the more inconsequential cards just won't have any listings, so you won't find usually a real, probably ever a real T206 Honus Wagner card. You might find some reprints or some knockoffs or whatever on eBay. Likewise, you probably won't find a 1986 Topps Bob Burnley or that ilk of a common. You might find Burnley because he had a little bit of post-playing career notoriety or fame from managing, but those types of cards you won't find too plentifully on here, and there are other methods that you can use to dig into those prices, and we'll look at those in other videos down the line. For now though, if you liked this video, please click like and consider subscribing to my channel. And you can also find my writings at waxpackgods.com. Thank you.